no time for all you radicals. Screw your status quo, we're not animals. I won't kneel for the anthem, cause the flag is what I'm standing for. In America, your freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you pack your bags. America.
Good evening, everybody out there on YouTuber and the interwebs. How are y'all doing? I am your friendly neighborhood bearded weirdo, coming in loud and proud as I always do, and with this magnificence upon my face. How y'all doing out there in America? How y'all doing? It is November 1st. It is still magnificent. Just your face.
No, it's
and
not.
the man over here already talking smack on me to my left is my brother, my compadre, the one, the only, the Pastor Gary Podosek. How you doing today, brother?
Could be better, but it will be better.
Yes, we are standing firm
in a
on
week.
That. It will be better.
It will be.
And behind the camera, over there on the laptop, hiding behind the curtain,
It's got a great face for audio.
He is our
face for audio and a voice for
he is our producer. He is another good friend. He is the master of the Helm, Steve Cattell. How are you doing today, brother?
I'm not doing great, but so if you hear coughing, I apologize. I'll try and mute myself. But,
yeah, we do not have that.
He has bronchitis, and I hear that ain't nobody got time for that.
So yeah, I mean it's Steve's been a little under the weather. So if you don't mind, send your prayers to him so that this can be eradicated. He can be back to breathing without hacking out a lung. That'd be great.
That would be nice.
Also, I want to take this time to tell you to please share and comment on these episodes and and share with your friends and family. If you haven't already subscribed, please do. But the comments and the subscriptions will help the algorithm, help us grow. And that's what we want to do. We want to grow. We want to get bigger. We want to get better. We want to get louder. And we want to have a good time with this. We can only do that with your help. So, as you can tell, today is November 1st. Next week on November 8th is Election Day. 7 days away. It is midterm elections.
Mm-hmm.
We hear that there's a storm a-brewing to cover this whole nation.
I don't know. I checked the weather. It looked clear.
I don't know. I hear they calling for a tsunami. A red one, nonetheless. As you can tell by our title, when people are fed up, red up. And people are fed up. Even Democrats, everybody. Let's forget party lines here. Everybody is fed up. Why? Why is everybody fed up? Well, let's see. Gas prices at the beginning of this year were at like almost $6 a gallon. Then they went down to $3.50. Creepy Joe wanted a pat on the back for getting it down to $3.50, even though before he came into office, they were $2. Although now he's trying to say that gas prices were up to $5 before he came into office. Actually, the national average was $2.40. But you know, let's not mince numbers here, there, Joe. And you know, people are fed up. That just everything is bad. I mean, brother. I mean, grocery shopping.
Look, this is what is probably the most important thing, because when you have a voter base, Republicans, Democrats tend to just usually go to the machine and they punch their party. And that's how Democrats have pretty much been ensuring their voter base, and also have been enshrining themselves in Democrat states and in the House and in the Senate for as long as they have been. But when you have a president who has spent more money than God himself,
stop doing it. Vice President Poopy Pants.
I'm going more rote for seriousness in this point, because regardless of our pandering and our jokes and stuff like that, he's used executive privilege, pandemic, and a lot of other non-constitutional measures and ways of doing things that are not through the right veins of how things should be done.
Constitutional, unconstitutional.
Same thing. That when you spend more money than God has ever seen in the history of the world in 2 years, and you have a Fed who won't tamp down the inflation because they don't want to raise the rates because it will affect a lot of other things, and they don't want to look bad for all the money they spent.
Yep.
The reality is it's going to happen. You change the definition of a recession so that people would be confused somehow that that for as long as we've been tracking things like inflation and recessions, the standard for a recession has been two, right? Two consecutive quarters of negative growth.
Yep.
Negative GDP. We're going to hit 3 quarters.
Actually, I think we're hitting 4.
No, I don't think.
No, we're hitting 4. We were already at 2.
That was last quarter.
No. Remember, they told us to forget about the first one.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't remember them ever saying that.
They came out and said, because we first came out and said it was 2. And they said, no, that doesn't count. Right. Then we hit 3. And then they're like, wait, that still doesn't count. We're coming up to 4 now.
Right. But the point is, I don't know. I don't know if it's 3 or 4, but it's not relevant. The point is that you change the definition of a recession because you don't want people to know that you screwed up. Yeah. All right. You screwed up with their money. You screwed up spending money. You spent money frivolously and on things that didn't need to happen.
Giving it away to the Ukraine for no reason.
And again, whether American citizens were on board originally or not, the point of government is not always necessarily to do what the mob thinks is best. You're supposed to look at things pragmatically. You're supposed to make decisions that are best going forward as well as in the immediacy. It takes a person of integrity to turn around and make decisions that are, again, in my opinion, the right decisions that may not always be the most popular decisions.
Facts.
Trump was not a very popular president, but he made the unpopular decisions, but they were better for the country.
When now that you actually have the people that 2 years ago were like, we have to vote him out, are like, well, his policies were good. They're at least now admitting his policies were good. They just didn't like.
Orange Man bad.
They didn't like his tweets, and they didn't like the way he talked.
I don't even think it had to do with that. He was a person. Again, you're talking about a person who was from the outside.
Yep.
When you're talking about a firm group of elites who have been passing the baton from one elite to the next, and that goes red and blue. It doesn't matter. But you're dealing with a bunch of people who are homegrown, institutionalized politicians who have been working and sucking off the government teat for as long as they could, are getting these positions of power. And so you have a guy who didn't need the money, didn't need the job, didn't play their games, and didn't participate in politics.
And actually moved into a smaller house.
And he won. And so he was everything that they weren't. And so they got scared. Yep. And so they attacked what they don't like. It's a very normal human interaction. When we see things we don't understand or don't like, we usually immediately pounce in an attack mode until we find out maybe later that we're like, oh, well, he wasn't so bad. And it's they're coming around like, oh, the border, build the wall was one of the biggest things he moved on his platform and wanted to secure the border.
And even people from Mexico, actually, let's just put it this way.
Oh, you're holding off on the gem.
Most of people who have come to this country the right way wanted the wall. Well, yeah, because they understand. They understand
what they had to do. But here's the best part: the day Trump announced it and won, and he started producing the process. All the Dems obviously blocked him, fought it, stopped it, didn't want him to have it. He still managed to get it done. Started getting the wall built, and then leaves office. And the immediate thing that
they stopped it.
Current president decided to do was immediately cut it, stopped it, and everything like that.
Now they're building it again.
Until now. Which, by the way, you won't hear any reports about how they're building the wall. You won't hear about it. You won't heir about it. But they are doing it.
No. They Korean, it was like a month or so ago, maybe a little bit longer.
Oh, please don't say her name.
Korean John.
No. Worst press secretary. Look, if you're going to give titles.
No. The worst argument for affirmative action ever in the White House.
But that's not. She's the worst press secretary ever to ever hold the position.
You know what?
Ever.
I think look, I'm going to go with some things.
Look, I would take the redhead back immediately.
Poor man's Peppermint Patty.
I mean, she was better than her.
Well, here's the thing. Sarah Gonzalez. I love watching the news and why it matters. Sarah Gonzalez has actually been floating this this theory that the whole reason why Saki helped Karine Jean-Pierre get the job is to actually make Saki look good.
Well, I mean,
but I mean it's. But actually, no. I think it was the guy who normally asks, KJP all the hard questions that she doesn't want to answer. I can't remember his name.
right.
But he asked her about it, and they're like, "Oh no, we were left with a mess at the border by the previous administration." Wrong.
No.
We're just the supplies are there, so we're putting the wall up in those areas because the supplies are there just to get them off the ground. That's where they go with it. Okay, so you gotta love it, gotta absolutely love it. But these are the type of people that work on it. Like I said, now it's gotten so bad that Biden is trying to say on TV, in interviews, and on social media that gas was that fuel at the fuel pumps was $5 a gallon when he came into office.
That is a lie. That is a and if you're an idiot that believed that lie, or maybe it was in California, maybe.
California.
Well, I'm just saying, but then your reality is that what gas was $5 when he got in office, but then it was $8 like after he was in office for 2 months.
The national average for gasoline in the United States was $2.40.
Yeah.
When he came into office, a week before he came, was it a week, 2 weeks? It was like down to $2.30. Like, yeah. I mean,
it wasn't.
Even a few months before that, before the election happened, it was around $2.
Yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I know it was $2 here in New Jersey.
Yeah,
$2 a gallon.
Yep. It was going down. It probably would have broke down below $2.
Under $2
had Trump won.
Trump won, because immediately when you got a president or when you got a person that is campaigning on, we're going to shut down, we're going to get rid of fossil fuels, and we're going to go with all these other things. When you come into office, those companies now then change their tactics because they're like, wait a second, we need to put our money elsewhere,
right?
Because they're going to shut us down. So now they're not going to produce as much. They're not going to do which raises the price,
right? And this is going back. So the point of where we're going today, and you brought up the groceries and everything like that. It deals with a fundamental issue. The Democrats have this propensity to conflate issues and make you believe
gaslighting.
That is exactly what it is. But they make you believe that these are the issues that you are the most concerned about. And unless you're buying in and putting up with the brainwashing, which is really what it is. It's just a lot of people are. Well, when you have a media company and social media companies that do your business for you and do your bidding, the only and as you said over there, you didn't even know about how they restarted the wall. No. The only way you would find out about it is if you actually follow certain, I don't want to say conservative, but if you actually branch away from the mainstream media providers, because the mainstream media doesn't want to tell you those things because they know that would paint certain images or certain things in bad light. Right. That's why they don't talk about COVID anymore. They don't talk about the things that are problematic for them.
No. Now Fauci's back out talking about it again.
Fauci's an idiot.
So is Biden. Now they're saying, you got to get the new jab. They're already starting.
They can kind of pander to that all day long. But here's the thing. So back to what we were saying. You have the Democrats, and you have them continuing to hand you a bill of goods saying this is what you believe is most important. But what's happening is people are starting to go, no, that's not it.
You know,
and here's here's the big catch, right? Here's the big issue. I don't. Where's your wallet? I don't have any wallet. I don't have any money.
To a chain,
yeah, whatever.
So you ain't going far with it.
But this is it. This is the number one issue, not leather and not chains, not whatever you're into. That was a joke. Okay, but in reality, people are fed up with their money not going where it used to go.
All right, when you've been again, this
or as far as it used to go, I should say.
When you're telling people that it's about that gender issues are the big issue.
Well, that's not the number one issue.
When you're telling people that, we need to switch to green energy because that's the big issue. When you're telling people that
that's number two to the Democrat Party, by the way.
Yeah,
number two most important issue for the Democrats, believing that
office.
you think. Hold on, now, no, you got to translate this. Okay,
this is what they.
I'm going to give you the 1, 2, and 3 of the Democrat Party. You've already labeled 2. The Democrats believe that you think green energy, number two, is the most important thing to you.
Yep.
That gas, getting off of the gas and fossil fuels and getting electric cars and, cow farts according to AOC and all that garbage, that is the most important thing to the American people. That is it. That's the second most important thing to you, the American person, according to them. That's what they believe. They say think is the most important.
They say that's your kitchen table issue.
Right. That's that's the second most important thing. Number 1?
What?
You don't know? January 6th.
Oh, yeah, January 6th.
They believe that you think Trump's so bad. Trump created this and then conflated this election denierism, which, by the way, Hillary Clinton still denies the election.
Yes, she does.
The current governor of Georgia still believes that she's still the current governor of Georgia, even though she lost. Stacey Abrams, okay, who's going to lose again.
President of Earth.
Okay, who's going to lose again, by the way, just part of the foreshadowing.
Wait. Here's the other one.
She'll deny it. She'll deny she lost. She'll deny she lost again, by the way, when it happens.
Wait, when you talk about election denial, what about calling an election 12 days before it starts?
Right. Again, all this stuff
Fox
and more.
News in Arizona called Arizona for the Democrats
all this 12
stuff days before elections even started.
And this is what they're doing. And they're already starting to build the manuscript of things that will, when the elections start to happen, how there's cheating going on. There's this wave of what do they call it? Slipping when you're not allowing people to vote. I can't think of the name of it.
Oh, voter suppression.
Suppression, which doesn't exist.
Doesn't exist.
It's not happening anywhere. How can you say? Hold on. How can you say voter suppression exists when, according to them, Joe Biden won by a record number of votes? That means more people were able to vote than not. If there was voter suppression, there would be less total votes at the end of an election cycle.
The cemetery was voting big time.
Look, I walked by. They all had 3 I voted stickers on them. It's ridiculous. I mean, we live in New Jersey, so it's kind of like Chicago, but not really. Chicago, they vote like 100 times. But anyway.
Right? Listen, when I die, just please don't let me vote Democrat.
You have no choice if you get buried here. So you get your body shipped down to Florida or something like that. All right. So, but number 1, January 6th. Number 2, green energy. Number 3.
It's the gender stuff.
No, it's not. That's like number 5. No, it's your hot button subject, sir.
Oh, Roe v. Wade.
Abortion issue, which is currently not up for debate. It's not up for discussion. No. And if you really want to be like, oh, well, they're taking away. No, they're not. If you live in a blue state like we do,
you can do it all day long.
Your rights for abortion have not been changed whatsoever.
Right.
I understand the point, but what I'm saying is that it hasn't been affected. Nothing has changed.
Well, even still,
blue states still have your abortion laws because
if you live in a red state that made it illegal, except for on the case of medical emergency,
right? Then which most states still have that. No, not even the one that everybody was up in arms. We're like, oh, they made abortion illegal. They said unless medically necessary. It still says medically necessary.
That was the one where they lied and said that the girl
it still says medically necessary.
Go over to Indiana.
No, she might have because she's an idiot.
But no, because her mom was an idiot.
No, well, either way, still,
she was 10
because you believe the lying media and what they tell you. You don't read this stuff for yourself. And if you read the Constitution, just read the document. You would see that what they did initially in Roe v. Wade was unconstitutional. unconstitutional because it revoked the states' rights to govern their states accordingly.
Because there's
now
nothing in the Constitution.
they can write their own state laws and legislate it accordingly.
Yeah,
and that is a legislatable
and here's the thing.
by state rule.
They've proven this along both party across all party lines. 80% of Americans that are old enough to vote want there to be limits on abortion.
Right. They don't believe
they don't believe it should go up to
after birth.
To up to birth.
FYI, that's called infanticide.
And in California they want
you just killed a child. That is not an abortion anymore. I'm sorry, I can't. It just drives me up a wall. You literally just murdered a living child. That's it. You can't say, "Oh, we were aborting." That's like, "Oh, well, your son didn't take out the trash. He's 15 years old. You better watch out. I'm gonna abort you." Like, you can't. No, you don't do that. I'm sorry, it just doesn't work.
For the actual joke and comedic thing that was done before, see Christopher Titus, because he did a whole sketch on this.
Yeah,
it's
well,
hilarious.
I didn't know. I don't listen to Titus, so
as a non-voter myself.
Yes, which we're trying to
hopefully
sway you
next year.
Sway you
because it's too late for you.
You can't register this year.
I understand. But what do the midterms actually mean?
That's a good question.
Why is it so important?
That is a really good question.
Midterms when I'm like, I really don't care because I don't have a dog in the fight right now.
That's a really good question.
Well, actually, you do. Actually, you do. All right. In the midterms.
Well, minus the governor races, which again, our governor race happened last year, not this year, so it doesn't affect. But with the exception of the individual governor races, because governors are obviously affecting they're affecting just the individual state. You're talking about the House and the Senate roles that are being up for grabs.
Here's the thing: every 2 years, the House of Representatives
and
have to vote,
and
all of them. Mm-hmm. Every House of Representatives seat in the country is up for vote. We have 12 seats in the state of New Jersey for the House being down in the
Washington House
Capitol building.
Yep.
For the House of Representatives. Okay. We have 12. Currently, as of right now, we have 2 Republicans and 10 Democrats.
Actually have this here.
Okay.
So we really want to try and sway it so that we get more.
Well, here's the thing. The reason why they've been called it. Every 2 years, the House of Representatives. Now, there are some Senate seats up for grabs, but none in New Jersey. And each state only has 2 Senate seats. So
although there might be one soon if he gets convicted.
This is true.
Sorry, just saying. Federal investigation on.
So the important part is that, again, this is where the checks and balances comes into our government.
Right.
The president right now, the House of Representatives is a Democrat majority. Obviously, Democrat president.
Okay.
And the Senate is split 50-50.
Yep.
Okay. Which means that if there's a lot of the very important things, they need to get a 2/3 majority in order to pass in the Senate. Mm-hmm. On minor things, Kamala Harris can be the tiebreaker. Okay. But only if it's a 50-50 split. Okay. If one goes either direction, she doesn't need to vote. The House of Representatives is the one where if they put up a bill, the Senate puts up a bill. Mm-hmm. It goes to the president. Yep. If the president vetoes it, the House of Representatives can pass it anyway. Or if the president passes something, the House of Representatives can stop it. So, with the fact that the House of Representatives is Democrat and the presidency is Democrat, and there's a split in the Senate, really, it's hard for Republicans to do anything.
Right.
And so we really need them more in the House than we do
currently
in the Senate.
Currently. Right. Now, there aren't enough seats in the Senate. There are enough seats that if
we currently have 12 seats, and one is a possible tilt. That's the one competitive. We have pretty much everything is blue, but we're a blue state, so what's to be expected?
Yeah, there's 12. Right. 2 of them are definitely red.
2 are definitely red. And there's one tilt potential in Jersey.
Again, this is the thing. That could all change because they've already been showing across this country that these polls are garbage.
And I'm on CNN, by the way, which is very left-leaning.
Very garbage.
Very garbage left-leaning. So, again.
So the important thing is that we need – if we can at least get the majority in the House.
Okay.
Now, what they're looking at right now with a lot of things, no matter what the Democrats and everybody's saying on MSNBC, if you actually look at it the way it in truth, it's looking like we're not just going to get an easy majority. we may get a super majority in the House of Representatives. And they're talking before. They were saying that though there are a bunch of Senate seats. I think there's like 20 some Senate seats up for grabs this time out of 100. So there's 20 some of them up. There is they're saying right now that it's a possibility we could get a small majority.
35 Senate seats are up.
35 are up this time.
35 are up. And so far, it looks like, again, this is just on average, but it looks like there's 14 solid for Republicans, 8 solid for Democrats. There's 3 likely, 1 lean, and 2 tilt for Republican versus 2 0 and 2 for Democrat.
See, and that's CNN's.
And that's CNN, which is very much
right now, the
to the
people
left.
that I've been watching,
and there's 3 seats that are up, toss up.
I watch a serious conservative nerd.
Yeah, but again, that's also completely right leaning. So it's probably going to go.
Stubergear, I will give it this. Stubergear and Steve Deace like to look at things realistically. They don't like to look at things and be like, "This is the way." It's definitely going to be this way. They're looking at it right now, and they are now. Steve Deace more than Stubergear, but Steve Deace he says majority all the way around. We take majority all the way around.
Yeah,
which then keeps Biden.
It's already
doing crappy things.
And this is actually in CNN again. This is CNN, but according to no, it's not CNN. This was I think it's Politico, which is still left leaning. But but their graph had said basically there's a 50 more than likely 50% chance that Republicans will take both the House and the Senate.
Now, if we take the Senate, it's going to be a small.
It'll be 51 to 49, which is enough to still. And they can't ride it now.
In 2 years, when the rest of the Senate is back up again, it's more than likely we will take a supermajority.
So, but back to your original question, because really you didn't answer the question.
No, the important part is that they stop. This is why we need to do the midterms. Midterms are important because, especially when you have somebody who is so corrupt, so just egregious when it comes to their executive orders and everything else, it is that important to bring back the checks and balances. Right now, there's no checks and balances.
The checks and balances is correct, and that's the immediate problem. But then you get into this problem that he has with politics, which is it's basically a rubber band. Yeah. It just goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. But here's my answer to you, because this is actually a more important answer. One of the things that we talked about here, I believe it was maybe last episode or the episode prior. I can't remember which episode we talked about it. Where we were
before, because he was here. Last episode he wasn't.
Right, so the episode before. Mm-hmm. When we talked about this and we were talking about election issues, one of the things that people need to understand about these two particular the midterms and the importance of the midterm race is one of the things the Republicans don't do well and that Democrats do. Democrats play the long game. We don't. Yep. This is one of those, and this is counter to what you were just saying. So you might want to eat your own words a little bit. But if we play the game of the immediacy and we put people in that are really Republicans, but they're not good candidates, we don't have real staying power. And we also don't have electable officials for future political gain. We don't have good candidates like a DeSantis, right? People love him. Why? Well, because he's got integrity. He's about the people. He does what the people want, and he has sensible policies and things for his state. Now, when you look at it, you see him coming up or whatever. If he were to go and run for president, yeah, maybe people would vote for him because they like what he stands for.
Even Democrats in Florida love him.
He's a governor, right? A lot of presidents, if you do your work and you do your math, where do they come from? Where a large portion of the president-elects come from the Senate. Yep. A lot of them come from the Senate. But
DeSantis was already in Senate.
Look, listen to what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is that they usually get picked from Senate seats because they're politicians. They know the inner workings. They know how government works. They know how the House works. They know how to talk shop. They know how to do business. But if we don't put good people in now, we won't have good candidates later. And that's really what we need to start thinking about.
I agree with you and don't agree with you at the same time.
That's fine.
Because here's the problem. The Democrats that are up for these positions are so bad.
Oh no, I'm not arguing that
we-
either.
I agree with you. I would love to just go, you know what, let's be picky. Let's be picky. But at this point, it is so bad that we need.
I'm not being picky, but what I am saying is
I agree with what you're saying. I would love to be able to go, hey, I'm not voting for you this go round because I want somebody better in that seat. We need to spend time finding somebody better. I would love to say that right now, but the state that we are in right now, and I agree with you, the long game needs to be done, but the long game doesn't need to be done in the House and the Senate. The long game needs to be done at the state level. Because we've never gone long game on the state
No,
line.
we don't. But that's what we were talking about. But that's what we were talking
long
about.
Long game needs to happen in the state line.
Right.
Right now, we need to put a quick, fast, in a hurry kibosh on anything that Biden can do.
Well, yeah, because we
the
need to stop the
not
spending.
only wants to give away all our money to Ukraine, but then he wants to give money to irresponsible teenagers who got degrees in college on crap that can't get them a job, and then we're gonna pay your debt off.
Well, but this is
not to mention wants to get rid of our infrastructure when it comes to energy. Wants to
bring that up.
Put us back into the dark ages essentially because our infrastructure can't handle electric vehicles.
Right.
And the electric vehicles,
and that's not just myth or that's science. No, it's
that's
facts.
Science. Our infrastructure as is can't handle the electric vehicles. Not to mention that you spend more crude oil, more barrels of oil getting the materials needed to make the batteries out of the ground than you do on fueling cars.
Right. Not to mention we have our idiot in chief who's mortgaging our actual oil supply.
Mortgaging it.
Yeah.
There's a giant stack of IOUs when it comes to our own.
Right. So again,
and then the fact that it takes 8-year-old kids to go down into the hole to get the materials. So now you're supporting these electric cars is actually supporting child slave labor.
So
in other countries, not
here.
So would you say that midterms are actually more important than the presidency?
It is. Can be. No, I would actually go on the road and say it is because, and again, here's the point. The reason why midterms are more important, or I would say they were more important, is because the president is, in no sense of terms, he is the leader of this free nation.
Yes.
But his major point in his role is for affairs abroad. He's the one that you need, and that's why it scares me with Biden because he doesn't even know what state he's currently in. He doesn't know what is going on across the sea. And they're looking at him as a dode and they're taking liberties, i.e. Afghanistan, i.e. Russia, i.e. China, i.e. Iran. Like these countries are looking at us as very weak and shriveled old guy as leader who can't know whether he ate grits or eggs for breakfast, and Mrs. Matlock if he goes past 3. Like, we're talking about a guy who doesn't know his stuff, and when you have him as your leader, you can't deal with foreign nations, and your allies don't look at you as reliable. That's why we have the issues we had. So his whole role is that. That's technically the major role of the president. Now, the House is the one that you really care about because those are the ones that pass law. They're the ones that are. Go ahead.
They're the ones that can start the process for impeachment.
Correct. And they're also the ones who can do what? Declare war. So, again, the House has a lot more power, but that's why it's a large group, right? Yeah, there's so many people there, and it might seem like you get lost in the cloud, but that's why that many people in there have to come to a census of agreement in order for things to happen. That's how we make sure that your state and their state and all these other states aren't going to be ill-affected because every state has a representative amount of people based on their population and their voter base. It's population of voters. It's actually based on your voters. So that's why when all those people left California and went to Texas and Florida, California lost seats in the House and Florida and Texas gained seats because so many people migrated out of California. Now they have less voters.
They had to redistrict California.
Correct. So this is this is how that change. This is how the ebbs and tides and flows of dissatisfaction with the populace causes that kind of move, which allows the House to govern its population best in an unbiased manner. That is what it's designed to do. So the House is really kind of, in my opinion, the most important. The Senate is really like they're the
lawmaker.
And I would say
because even
they're the law keepers. That's a more appropriate
also the
term.
Lawmaker, because the House votes it. Like first, the bill goes to the House. If it makes it through the House,
then it has to pass the Senate.
Then the Senate is the one that makes the final vote on it, and then it goes to the president.
Right,
That's
and
where
then
the
they sign the
president
bill.
can veto it.
Veto power to the president, but again,
And then it can go back to the House, and the House can overturn the veto.
So I have a analogy that I want to see if it's close or way off.
Go ahead.
So when it comes to all this combined, you think, the president and the Senate and the House. I'm trying to think of an analogy that was good for everybody who might be listening.
There's another thing the president can do too. Real quick, before you make your analogy, the other thing the president can do, and what is probably President Trump's most prolific actual thing that he did as president. It's the most, I would say, probably the biggest thing that he did when he was president. The ability to appoint judges.
That too. Yes,
he appointed so many judges during his time as president, and obviously the Supreme Court judges were appointed when the absences were made. And so his appointees in the Supreme Court and across the board have been profoundly
Most
felt.
of them have been phenomenal.
And the decisions that are now coming out of the Supreme Court, again, Democrats would say this was one of the worst things that ever happened, but the overturning of Roe v. Wade,
fantastic.
The things that happened out of the Supreme Court happened because the appointees of the judges. Now people would say, "Oh, he appointed Republican judges or whatever." No, he appointed constitutionally sound judges.
Also said things,
and their votes are based off of the Constitution.
There have been some rulings that I'm like, man, they've got to do this one, and they didn't.
Right.
Because they went along
Go
with
constitutional.
the Constitution.
And so it's not the judicial system is to remain as unbiased as humanly possible, because they keep everybody. They are the checks and balances.
The Democrats want to
make
it so that they control the Supreme Court, and essentially making the judges into lawmakers. When reality is that they are supposed to be the ones.
They're the law keepers. They're really the law keepers.
The
Senate is more or less they're the ones that are. They're the ones that take the law and they argue.
Well, they take the bill and make it.
They take the bill, they make it a law, but they argue on behalf of their constituent base, and they argue on the federal government's role
and
in the law and where that all falls.
And the judges interpret the Constitution and the laws.
Right. So this all comes together. This is how the three branches of government work together.
It becomes very important during the midterms, like when we're in a situation like we're in now,
right,
where we have a dunderhead president, a Democrat,
a Democrat-run House, and a Democrat-controlled Senate with the.
They have the
on certain things, Kamala can be the plus one.
So I really think this actually, the more you talk about it, the more it actually sounds. I may be right.
Okay,
I may be wrong. I may be wrong.
You're wrong. You're wrong. You may be wrong.
So my analogy is, we're big sports fans, and I'm a huge sports fan, especially when it comes to like football.
Okay.
So I imagine the head coach being the president, the offensive coordinator would be the Senate, and the defensive coordinator could be the House, or vice versa. And the head coach can only do so much by himself.
Right.
He can make horrible decisions, but if the offensive coordinator goes, listen, we got to do it this way, these plays got to be run, then that's what's going to happen. And the head coach may say, hey, no, we're going to do it this way.
I'll give you a better analogy.
Okay.
You're using your same thing.
Yes.
The owners would be considered the president.
Yeah,
okay. The ownership would be the president. Your head coach would be the House.
Okay. Yeah.
Because he's the one who's going to spend the most time, right? He's spending the most time with the players. He's also spending the most time working with the coaches, the other coaches.
That's where the bills
the other coaches would be the Senate.
Oh, okay.
And
In
the
the
refs
sense.
would be the judges.
And so the reality of it is that, or maybe actually it might be the other way around. The other coaches, all the other coaches would be the House, and the Senate would be the head coach. Maybe.
Yeah, because the head coach doesn't spend
Yeah, it would be the other way around.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm sorry. The assistant coaches, the player coaches, the quarterback coaches, the offensive
They would
coordinator,
all be the
defensive
House, 'cause
coordinator,
spend
they
more
would be the
time
House
with
because
people.
they're the ones that are really working with the team, and they're working on the drills, the plays, the play calls, all that stuff. The head coach, really, his job is to make all of them the coaches. Like a good head coach has good coaches around him.
Yes.
Yep.
And really, you can tell the difference between a good team and a bad team because of the coaching staff, not necessarily the head coach, although the head coach gets a lot of credit. But like the reason why the Patriots and Bill Belichick were so good was because Belichick let his guys do their jobs.
Yeah.
That's
Like
it.
when
You
the
have
O
one
coordinator,
job.
he
You
was
have
the
one
D,
job.
he was the D coordinator and the head coach, but he still had a D coordinator, and he did not override his D coordinator, and he did not override his O coordinator. He let them do their jobs. Now, if they didn't do a good job afterwards, he let them hear about it,
Right.
which is really what a Senate does. When the Senate, and if you ever watch any of like the C-SPANs or any of that stuff, when the Senate hearings are going on, sometimes you'll see these senators like a Ted Cruz or like a Rand Paul who will rail off on other representatives in the House because of how they're doing things wrong, or they're not doing things according to the Constitution. And so they stand on the Constitution, they bring back those points, and they get against these guys because they're holding them accountable to what they swore an oath to do when they took the job. And although a lot of them do stray away from that because they have alternative motives, that's really the checks and balances system. So it really would be more in line of that, using your football analogy.
Yeah.
And if that's not actually pretty bad. It's a bad analogy to kind of put it into a better terminology to understand.
Yeah.
But you can see the importance of
Absolutely.
these midterms election, and you can understand the importance, especially when it comes down to things like, and we can, I don't know, how much time do we have here? I don't know where we're at.
We're at 41 minutes.
So we might have some time to bring it up, but like we have some really like important, that's not what I wanted. That's what I wanted. Like we have some really important elections. Like one of the ones that's really, really, let's talk about the far out one. Okay. The one that is really, really ridiculous and bad. And we'll start with our neighbors. Can we start with our neighbors?
Which neighbor?
We'll go north first.
New York?
We'll go New York. Okay, so New York currently has a let's see, where's she at? Hochul. Well,
A communist in
I want
office?
to pull up Hochul's thing. Hold on a second. So I have things here for Hochul. Where's she at?
Yeah, because I think these kind of like analogies while you're looking that up, I think they kind of really help because I know people like me who aren't as educated in the system and how everything.
I wouldn't say I'm educated. I just research.
Well, yeah, but I mean, you research more than I do. I don't do
There
it
you go.
because I don't believe in politics.
So this is the New York governor.
Yeah.
Okay, Kathy
More
Hochul.
like the New York Stalin.
Kathy Hochul took over after Cuomo was evaporated for being Cuomo. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, for Cuomoing women. How's that sound?
Just like his brother.
There you go. I did it. I did. I can say that. I can 100% say that, and that is not going to get us. He Cuomoed women, and you all know what that means.
Yep.
All right. And if you were Cuomoed by a Cuomo, I'm sorry, but you should have seen it coming. Maybe?
Cuomo and Cuomo's Cuomo.
I don't know.
Time.
I'm sorry, but Hochul took his place. Took his place after he was removed from office, or he resigned. I guess that's what he did. He did resign, and so Hochul took his place. And so she's lieutenant governor. She's not the actual governor, and she technically has obviously the first chance to run. Mm-hmm. And you have Lee Zeldin, I think is his name, and Lee Zeldin is a guy who has come out of nowhere. And he was originally running, and Hochul had like a 24-point lead over him. Now, that's because New York is predominantly a very blue state right now. And his whole thing he's running on is dealing and cleaning up the crime in New York, because the crime in New York has gotten so out of control that citizens are afraid to go out and go places because of their fear for their lives because of how horrible crime is.
Hochul said, "Why is this important?"
Well, yeah,
they had a debate.
So important? They had a debate, and she basically laughed at laughed at Zeldin's claims of crime being so bad to the point where she basically said that why do you feel like you have to focus so much on crime? Why is locking people up so important to you? And he literally was like, it's not important to me, it's important to them.
Yeah.
They don't want to put up with
They
don't want criminals on the street.
Right.
Now she's also put up like a retarded no bail laws and stuff. So criminals can literally get locked up for. But Jersey is the same thing. But the reasons are different. We don't have it as bad as New York. You can assault somebody and go to jail and get let out the same day. So if in the morning you decided to go assault somebody and kick them and kick their skulls in and curb stomp them, you get locked up. They'd go before a judge. They'd say, "Oh, no bail's posted. You're free to go," and go right back out by the end of the night.
You have a court date on this date for your crime,
right?
But you can go back out on the streets.
So Lee Zeldin. All right. So again, in the beginning, Hochul was up 24. As of yesterday, I believe that is what this says. This would be October. No, this was as of the 1st. So this is today. As of today, Hochul and Zeldin are tied.
Wow.
With a margin, it's bad because there's a 5-point margin of error that usually bends.
2.5.
2.5. Well, on both sides. 2.5 to the red, 2.5 to the blue. When you're in a blue state, that tends to be a 5-point swing to the blue. Yep. So you figure if that's tied,
if it's tied,
that's bad news. That's really bad because that basically means they don't even have. She should be up 5, and that would mean it would come down to a really close draw. But because they're tied on a poll average, and by the way, this is Real Clear Politics. So if you're wondering where I'm getting it from, and the poll was the Trafalgar Group. So that was the poll.
They have bad.
It's possible, but this is the only poll. This is the only poll. This is the only poll that I have for them. But so you have that. Where also though Schumer is up for election and he's being reelected. There's no question.
Yeah, I got something else on here. It says technically it's 8 points lead over Zeldin as of right this moment.
Right, and that's the Hill. So the Hill and Emerson poll has Hochul up like 9 or 8, which again they are still not good. Right, and they're left-leaning polls. So again, you take the average of those two, you have a tie, and you have an 8-point lead, and you average that down. That comes down to a 4-point lead for Hochul, which is within the margin of error, which could be obviously Zeldin could be. And there's still 7 more days.
And that would be the first Republican
in like 25 years.
Governor since might be 25 years.
It was 25 years. Yeah.
But the last Republican governor of New York was our boy. I'm forgetting his name.
And if it
Trump's old lawyer.
And if it goes to that, how big is that of a difference?
He was mayor. He wasn't governor.
I thought he was governor.
No, he was mayor.
How big does
mayor
that
of New York
make a
City.
difference if their governor becomes?
So again, a governorship will not change or really do much in the sense of change the whole state red type of thing. But what happens is if you see a governor who's Republican and he's doing a good job, what you end up seeing is you'll see more people of red moving to New York, starting businesses, appreciating the Republican governed state. Yep. And then you obviously see then turning points in states and cities like red. Up north, very, very, very much New York up north is more red than those down south cities, and the bigger cities tend to usually vote Democrat. But if you see him cleaning up, you might see, again, like he was just saying, you see the mayor of New York City not be blue but change red, and then that changes New York City's label.
Because now you're going to now you have that one good governor. You have that
because they're getting support from up above.
Yeah, they're getting support from up above. You'll start seeing like the governor will come out and be like, "I support such and such running,"
and then that helps.
They put their name to it.
What is the whole point of a reform bill? Like to have that so that people just get out like. On like a slap on the wrist kind of.
Oh well, it's
what did it?
It's terrible.
The bill reform or the bail reform.
Bail reform,
bail reform was literally you get arrested, you go before the judge. Now, usually when you would go before a judge, they tell you what you've done, they tell you when your court date is, and they tell you what your bail is.
Right. Sure.
Okay, so if you can pay the bail, you're able to get out, but you got to come back for your court date. If you can't pay the bail, then you got to sit in jail until your court date. Well, they're just saying no bail, period.
Yeah.
You could shoot 30 You could shoot 30 people on the streets of New York, get arrested, see the judge, be let back out to shoot more people.
Yeah.
between now and your
So
court date
even
is
if it's like they're a danger to the society,
yes,
it doesn't matter.
yes.
Wow.
Yep.
That's crazy.
And that
Unless
and that affects their ability to not fly as well.
Yeah.
So they could easily go ahead, travel, and go to
Really
another state.
high.
Yep, get out of state, go and travel, and beat somebody else in another state.
Unless you are a pastor or a Republican or somebody that was
Stop.
out praying by it.
Stop.
You're out praying
Stop
by
that.
Pandering.
No,
Stop it.
No, I'm not pandering. Unless they're out there praying out across the street from a Planned Parenthood,
Yeah.
praying, not engaging anybody, just praying, and then they get arrested and they're not allowed to even have bail. Or, they just happen to be by the Capitol building in January 6th.
He's bringing up
and
the
they haven't-
bias.
And they haven't even been able to talk to their lawyer. Okay,
So-
American citizens not given due process.
All right. So our neighbor to the, I guess, west.
West.
Yeah.
PA?
Right. So
Philadelphia?
no, well, Philly's not. Philly has no election. It's just the Senate seat. So you figure the PA Senate seat. Now, and this is one of those things where you go, okay, well, you're saying Republicans. What about Oz? Well, I'm not a big Oz fan. I don't
think
care.
he's really conservative.
I don't care. I don't care really much
he's
about his
better-
politics either. But here's the thing:
Better than Fetterman.
Fetterman should not be running. Okay, I don't know the guy. I don't mean harm to the guy, but you had a stroke and you are not able to perform the duties of a senator.
You had a stroke
and it does not. And according to medical practitioners and people who deal with those who have suffered from strokes have already stated that by this point in time, the issues of what you're dealing with or your speech problems should be better by now, and they're not. And so it is a shame. It's a shame. Hold on, it is a shame, and I really don't blame him because I believe he has a heart for the state. I believe he does care.
Well, he's also.
I'm not picking on. I'm not picking on the man. I'm not. I'm going. Look, I'm going for a different approach because it's. You get smacked for stuff like this, man. You're going to get smacked. But here's the thing. He's making fun of the debate because he opened up the debate by saying good night, everybody, and then went into the debate. And it's like you clearly see there's things wrong. But the thing is when it comes to Fetterman, I really blame, just like I blame Joe Biden for allowing this person to go out there and look the way he does and do things. He suffered a stroke. Look, I get the man cares, but there comes a point where you go, take your losses and go recover. And if you get around to a chance to do it again in your next cycle, run then. Yeah. But you focus on your health. Don't go put yourself into positions where you could do worse.
The whole reason why he has not progressed and gotten better is because he should have been under the care, doing physical therapy, doing brain exercises, doing speech exercises.
Yeah, and
he should have been doing all that stuff
and not been running. So you got these are two neighbors, okay, and these are close to us. So the reason why we should care about these is because there's what is usually called the seepage rule. When you have states nearby,
he has a lot of seepage.
When you technically think about this, right? We have New York City on our northern border. We have Philadelphia, which is blue. These are two very blue cities, and obviously, what happens? It seeps in to here, and Delaware below seeps up. So we are surrounded by blue. So obviously New Jersey's just going to turn blue because of the seeping in from the neighbors. But if the neighbors go red because they're receiving it from like Ohio, from New Hampshire and things like that, you're getting this turnover from them. They're starting to shift their colors. What, New Hampshire? Yeah. It is weird. But you see that happening, so now you're seeing this turnover come down into these states. So that could obviously then lead to what's known as a trickle effect. You have it seeping into New Jersey. You could see those changes. But here's some other ones that I think are worth noting, and I think it's really important. So I don't know if you know her, but she is fantastic. Carrie Lake. I love Carrie Lake. Carrie Lake is Arizona governor. She's going to win. Even though right now polls have her opponent, I forget her, Kelly. Yeah, no, not Kelly. That's the other one. Lake. It's Hobbs. Yeah, Hobbs. Currently, Carrie Lake is up, and this is November 2nd, Wednesday. It's already polled. Fox News has Lake +1 on that poll,
which is absolute BS because the actual poll that is one of the best done polls has her up by 11.
Yeah, so there's polls that have her going up. So I'm pretty sure Lake's going to win that one. But that's the governor seat. But then you also have
The weird name dude. I know you're talking about.
yeah, I'm
the
gonna.
senator
But
guy.
yeah, so this is the Senate, the Arizona Senate seat. You have Kelly versus Masters, and Kelly's +1 right now, which is Democrat. But Masters, Lake is really rallying with him.
Oh,
So she's
behind him
using
big time.
she's using her momentum to propel him. So this could be a governor and Senate flip in Arizona, which would be really awesome for them. So that's a big one. Another really big one that's worth noting and comically worth noting is Whitmer is in a dead tie with Dixon. Whitmer is the horrible governor of Michigan who literally said people can't have seeds to plant their own vegetables during a pandemic.
Yep.
While her husband was out on a boat in a
And
lake.
nobody else could be in a boat,
But nobody else could.
Yep.
Horrible. Horrible person. So
Wait.
she deserves to lose. She deserves to
You
leave.
can fly into your
You
eyes.
can fly under your mask. Fly under your mask.
No. Good. Oh, you didn't watch the Hodge twins. They were the ones that made this whole it was hilarious.
So
They ripped on Whitmer and her husband religiously.
So governor in Georgia, as we already talked about, Stacey Abrams is getting
President
by Kemp.
Earth.
So Kemp is looking to probably just tear her a new one, which is awesome.
But she will not.
She won't concede. We already know that she won't concede, so it doesn't matter. What was the other one? I don't know how much you like him or not, but Walker versus Herschel Walker. Herschel Walker.
Actually, Herschel
Yes,
Walker.
actual real Herschel Walker football. Ex-football player.
His past is coming. Look, I don't care what his past is.
He's changed his ways. He's completely
anybody
changed.
has asked him about his past, he's been honest.
Yep, he's been upfront honest.
absolutely upfront and honest.
What's his deal?
He's going up against Warnock, who took over an empty seat. He was
special election.
this was Georgia. This is Senate.
Warnock,
It was a special election because the
Warnock
person who
is a
was there,
socialist.
I don't know, did the person who was there in the Senate seat passed away?
something like that.
Something happened. I forget what happened to him.
Is a socialist and a communist
It's
who
not good.
preaches it from his pulpit because he's a so-called
Pastor.
pastor.
I don't call him a pastor. It's
Yeah,
why
a
I just
pastor.
call him
He's a
Warnock.
cult leader, and he's I'd say he's more of a Satanist. Just saying, because to him, he preaches CRT and everything else from the pulpit.
So I'm trying to see if there was
What's
another one that's
CRT? That is
Critical race theory.
race
Oh,
theory.
gotcha.
That all white people
Yes.
are always
Yeah.
evil all the time.
And then, just for fun, this is just funny. I just like it because it's just comical. Texas governor will be Greg Abbott again. There's no question about that
What
because
about Beto?
Beto O'Rourke is not going to win Texas, man.
Robert Francis.
Yeah, he ain't going to go nowhere.
Robert Francis, the man with an Irish last name who changed his name to Beto to try to sound cool to the Mexicans and other Latinos living in Texas.
He failed. Horrible.
Wow, that's
Talk about pandering.
swing and a miss.
So,
But hey, and just in case y'all didn't know, NAMBLA supports Beto.
Oh,
and now where's the
You
other?
know what
there's-
NAMBLA is, right?
we don't need to talk about that.
They're the Maps. Maps love Beto.
Oh, that's terrible. So I'm trying
They
to see. There
do.
was one other one that was really good that was worth bringing up, and I can't seem to find it.
Well, Van Drew, I'm gonna say this right now.
Yeah, he's going to win.
Van
this
Drew in New
spot,
Jersey is
so
probably
fine.
going to win.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, this will probably be his last time. Because if the man doesn't do what he needs to do and doesn't grow a set of cojones between his legs,
Well,
I'm
what do you
going
want him to do for us?
I'm going to ride you.
What do you want him to do for us?
Ride you. Well, number one, he's in the House of Representatives. and
Yeah, he's there
silent.
now.
We're right next door to New York, and he did not know that New York has a Chinese government police station in it to make sure that Chinese citizens in the United States are following Chinese laws. I'm sorry, you have no right to be here, constitutionally or otherwise. Get your police force out of here, Xi Jinping, Winnie the Pooh, whatever your dang name is. Get the heck out of here. And Van Drew knew nothing about it. I've had three damn conversations with this man.
And
3. And all he wants to do is, I've done this, I do that, I talk to this person, I do that. I don't care about your platitudes. Do your dang job, or we'll find somebody else to do it. And I will ride you on every form of social media and show you to be the coward and ineffective employee of the people that you are.
All right. So I can't seem to find the other one, but there was another really good close one that I can't seem to find it now. So I don't know. I lost my
Let's
spot.
just put it this way. It's more than this go round in the midterms with the midterm elections. There's more than just the Senate and the House up for grabs this time. There are a lot of gubernatorial runnings that are, man, stop talking about that evil.
Look, I didn't talk about nothing. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say nothing. I didn't say anything.
Go Astros.
Look, hey, you're rooting for a red wave. Guess who's red? Guess who's blue? Choose wisely.
Nope. Go Astros.
Democrat.
Anyway. So it's very important that you go out and vote.
It is.
It doesn't matter what the numbers say. Do not believe the polls. Do not believe the polls. Go out and vote.
Yeah, that's why. And by the way, I just want to point out, I'm bringing up polls, but it's not because I believe them. Because one of the biggest problem with polls is what is known as I forget what it's called, but it's this.
People get this idea that
that person's winning.
Well, no. It's like if you're a pollster and you call people on landlines, how many people on landlines that vote Republican do you think you're going to get?
Not many, because they're going to have cell phones.
Because they have cell phones and you're working. Exactly. So if you're not texting, if you're not doing like all kinds of other different ways and other things to get the polls, you're not really going to get the information or the right information from it. So there's always been a very left-leaning adjustment to polls.
But there's also the fact that even when we get polls that look like our guy is winning, people will be like, oh, well, then I don't need to go out and vote. We're already winning.
Right. That's not what it means.
That's not what it means. No matter what the polls say, go out and vote.
Oh, and here's the other thing. In the obviously the mail-in balloting and the voting early and all that stuff.
Person,
right.
If you can.
But again, here's the other factor, right? You might start to see things like, oh, well, the Democrats are really leading already with the mail-in ballots and all this stuff. That's because a lot of people that vote Democrat prefer to mail in ballots, and they prefer to do it because they don't want to talk to anybody. They like the privacy of their home. But Republicans love to get out on November 8th
I took the day
and
off.
vote. They love to go and vote in person because they're proud to go vote, and we like to talk. So it's this big difference in the persons and the people, the way we vote. And so what you see a lot of times happen is you might see an early small lead for Democrats in the beginning,
well, that's what happened
but right when they come in to count the votes at the end, obviously more red votes come in because we vote in person. So again, it's just keep that in mind. Polls don't really count for anything. Votes count. Obviously, don't waste your time paying attention to polls. Make your voice heard. Make it loud. Go vote.
The moral of this episode is get your butt out and vote. Do what you got to do. Leave work a little early. And just a little bonus.
And don't take the vote sticker because that just tells everybody you're a Democrat.
Anyway, what I do need,
I voted.
You know what else is good? I'm
Democrat.
trying to be taking one of my kids to go. I'm going to be trying to take one of my kids, teach them the voting process.
Show them how it's
done.
done.
Take your kids to the ballot, would you?
Yep.
But that's going to happen in a week from today. We will see that, and then in 2 weeks we will come back and we will talk about how they're still counting votes until
you shut your mouth. You shut your mouth.
That's what Tuesday. 2 years ago. 2 years ago.
No.
We
will be confirming the results that were counted on the day of the election.
The ballots that show up 3 weeks late.
Shush.
That all look like in the same handwriting. Anyway, water main might break again.
I'm gonna hurt you with a water main. Close this show out before I close you out.
So that's what in 2 weeks. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have a little fun. Hopefully, we might be having a celebration. Who knows?
Confetti.
Confetti. I don't know if I'll have confetti. I think your wife would shoot me if I brought confetti in here.
I'm talking about in a city.
So make sure you guys follow us on all the links down below. So hope you guys have a great night. Thank you very much for having us up.
Wait, hold on. Follow the link tree in bio for all ways to get in touch with me and as well as to get onto our website or to get into our email. If you want to get a hold of this man that's to my left, go to www.streamsoflife.com. That is also in the link tree. And you can see old messages and you can ask him questions, whatever's going on. What you can also do is if you happen to be in southern New Jersey, with nothing to do on at 10 o'clock, around 10 o'clock on a Sunday morning, get the address off the website. Come in and worship with us.
Amen.
He's got a good series going on right now. Good series. You like get kicked in the butt, really. But it's a good series because the word is not supposed to be something that makes us feel good at all times. It should encourage us to change. And if it's not encouraging us to change, then it's not being properly preached.
Amen.
And
thank you for that.
My brother does a good job at this. Shockingly, was under a half hour. Something our church has never been able to do this past week.
I'm good. I'm good.
But so that is the way it's been. So we thank you for coming to the corner of church and state where there is no separation. And we will see you in 2 weeks after the voting happens. So y'all have a good one and peace.
God bless.
America, your freedom ain't free in America. Soldiers dying overseas, so America.